Hi, welcome back and welcome to my channel. And today, ang pag-usapan po natin ay nasa ethical frameworks po tayo, and then we will discuss deontology, particularly Immanuel Kant's deontological ethics. So bago ang lahat, ito muna dapat ang matutunan natin after natin matalakay itong lesson na ito. Dapat at the end of this class, ma-identify po natin yung basic principles of deontology, particularly Kant's deontological ethics. Then after that, dapat ma-evaluate natin yung strengths at saka weaknesses ng ethical theory na ito, and then we can apply this ethical theory to local or international scenarios. So, tatlo lang po ang dapat nating matutunan. Okay. Now, as I said, pag deontology po ang pag-uusapan, we will focus on Immanuel Kant. So, unang-una muna sa lahat, kailangan meron tayong introduction about kay Immanuel Kant. He was born in 1724 in Königsberg, Russia. Prussia, now part of Russia. And then he devoted almost his entire life to the pursuit of knowledge and deep understanding at the University of Königsberg. He studied math and astronomy, but he was pioneer in the philosophical subset of ethics. So ito po yung basic works niya: The Critic of Pure Reason, Critic of Practical Reason, and The Metaphysics of Morals. Kant is one of the most important philosophers. Hindi mo pag-aralan si Kant kapag ikaw po ay nag-aral ng filosofiya. Kasi isa siya sa pinaka well-known philosophers, especially during the Enlightenment. So now let's move on to the deontological ethics of Immanuel Kant. But before that, kailangan muna nating maintindihan yung meaning ng deontology. Ang deontology po ay galing sa Greek word na deon, na ang ibig sabihin ay duty. So, kapag deontological ethics ang pinag-uusapan or deontology, ang moralidad po ay ng action ay nakabase sa paggawa ng duties and obligation. So, kung ang action mo ay hindi paggawa ng duties at saka obligation, then it will not be considered as moral. Ang deontology po ay kakaiba sa utilitarianism, kasi ang utilitarianism, ang focus po ng moralidad ng action ay nakabase sa consequence ng action. Para masasabi natin na maganda ang action or moral ang action, dapat po maganda rin ang kanyang consequence. Ang deontology po ay hindi. Para sa deontology, ang moralidad ng ating action ay nakabase sa duties and obligations. So, bago ang lahat, dapat natin matutunan ano ba yung basic principles of deontology. Sabi dito, naniniwala daw ang deontologist na meron daw tayong mga action na they are intrinsically right. Ano bang ibig sabihin yan? For example, yung paggawa ng mabuti sa kapwa, pagbibigay, pagkawang gawa. Ito pong mga bagay na ito, they are intrinsically right. Okay? So, pangalawa, sabi dito, doing the right thing is the right thing to do, regardless of the outcome or consequences. Ibig pong sabihin, ang paggawa po ng mabuti, regardless kung ano mang kahinatnan, ay ito po ang dapat nating gawin. So, ang pagbibigay, ang pagtulong sa kapwa, they are good intrinsically, kahit na ang consequence nito o kahinatnan ay hindi maganda. For example, tinulungan mo yung tao. Tinulungan mo siya, accidentally, nahulog siya. So, kahit na kahit na ang konsekwensya hindi maganda, ang action naman ay maganda. So, yun ang pinaniwalaan ng deontologist or deontological ethics. Then pangatlo, actions can be considered moral if they are with good intentions. Dito na po nagkakatalo. Okay? Una, yung pagtulong sa kapwa ay intrinsically right. Pangalawa, kahit anong kahinatnan nito, basta tumulong ka sa kapwa mo kahit ng kahinatnan na hindi maganda, pag result na hindi maganda, as long as tumulong ka sa kapwa mo. Pangatlo, okay? Paano ba naging moral? Halimbawa, ang pagtulong is intrinsically right. Okay? Yung action na yan. This is number 1. Ang kinahinatnan nito ay maganda kasi nakatulong ka sa kapwa. Okay? Napakain mo yung mga tao, nagbigay ka ng bigas, or ano man yan. Pero, iti-check din natin, if you are a deontologist, iti-check mo, ano bang intention niya? Ano bang motibo? Pag sinabi nating intentions, motive. Ano bang motibo niya? Bakit siya nagbigay? Kung ang motibo niya ay pagtulong talaga and out of duties and obligations, then it is moral according to deontology. Pero kapag ang intention na hindi maganda, nagbigay ka lang o nagbigay ang isang tao para mapuri or para manalo, kasi di ba tumatakbo or ano man yan, or para lang makakuha ng simpatiya at yun yung kanyang intention, then for the ontologist, even if the action is right, even if the consequence is right, but your intention is not good or not right, therefore, hindi pa rin siya moral. So, dapat it goes together. The action is intrinsically right. The action is good as regardless of the action is good, right regardless of its consequence. Ang pangatlo, dapat good intention siya. So, dapat itong tatlo, di go hand in hand para masasabi natin na moral ang isang action. And by the way, dapat out of duties and obligation siya. Okay? In connection to Kant, ito na yon. Okay? Si Kant po, sa kanyang deontological ethics, ay nag-uumpisa sa claim na reason is the foundation of morality. Okay? Ano bang ibig sabihin yan? Okay? Para ang tao ay magiging moral, dapat ang tao ay gumagamit ng utak. Okay? Gumagamit siya ng utak. Kasi a person is rational, therefore dapat mag-isip siya. So, halimbawa sa pagiging estudyante, kung papasok ka lang araw-araw at hindi mo pinag-iisipan, or sa pang-araw-araw mo na buhay na hindi mo siya pinag-isipan, at basta mo lang siya ginagawa, and you are not aware of it, according to Kant, dapat maging aware ka. Dapat pagganahin mo yung utak mo. Kasi you are a rational being. In order to be moral, you have to use your mind. Kasi ito yung gagamitin natin in order to do or to act and to live morally. So, yan yung una. Pangalawa, of course, you're using your mind, yung rationality mo. Sabi ni Kant, dapat ang tutumbukin daw natin ay yung tinatawag na goodwill. Okay? Para ang action natin ay magiging moral. So, ano ba yung goodwill? Ang goodwill po is only thing that is good in itself. Okay? It is good without any qualification. It is good in itself. Okay? Ito yung pinaka dapat nating tumbukin para masasabi natin na ang action natin ay moral. So, ano ba itong goodwill na to? Ang goodwill po for Kant is good intention. Okay? Dapat ang action ay good at ang intention natin ay good. In other words, good motive. Para masasabi natin na ang iyong action is right or moral. Now, ano ba ulit ang goodwill? Only thing that is good in itself. Okay? good motive. And number 3 is acting with a good will involves fulfilling one's duty and acting with reverence for the moral law. Malinaw po. Ang goodwill po is only thing that is good in itself because it has good intention or good motive, and it is fulfilling one's duty and acting with reverence for the moral law. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng moral law? Yung batas na tama or batas na moral. Okay, reverence, following, you're doing it for the sake of duty, and you're acting it because you understood by the moral law through your reason, and you follow it for the sake of duty and nothing else. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Kapag sumunod ka lang sa isang batas kasi natatakot ka or merong nag-udyok sa'yo na kailangan mong sumunod, hindi po ito moral. So, ang tanong dito, kung malinaw na, but how do we know what the moral law is? Okay? Now, babalik tayo doon sa reason. We have to think. Paano ko malaman na ang moral law is a moral law? Or paano ko malaman na ang batas ay moral? Well, isipin mo, gamitin mo yung utak mo. At the same time, pupunta rin tayo sa isang tanong na, paano ba maging moral yung action ko? Dito na papasok yung deontological ethics ni Kant. So, para kay Kant, a moral action is in a form of a command. Okay? It is a form of a command. Meaning to say order. Kaya nga imperative. It is in a form of a command. So, dito, kung makikita mo, para sa kanya, ang kanyang deontological ethics ay categorical imperative, hindi po hypothetical imperative. Ano bang ibig sabihin yan? Ang hypothetical imperative po, it tells us what we should do if we have certain desires. For example, if you need money, work for it. Or if you want orange juice, ask for it. In other words, meron pong condition dito. Ginagawa mo lang ang isang bagay para makuha mo yung isang bagay. Okay? Naintindihan natin. Para sa kanya, ang ethical framework niya is categorical imperative. Ano bang categorical imperative? It is a command that dictates actions in all situations, regardless of our desires or needs. Kahit wala tayong needs, wala tayong desire, kailangan natin siyang gawin kasi ito ang tamang gawin. For example, do not steal. If you do not steal because you are afraid to be caught, then that is hypothetical. If you do not steal because you want to be good to others, para makita or para ma-praise kanila, then it is not a categorical, but it is a hypothetical. So regardless kung may mag-praise sa'yo or wala, regardless kung merong nakakita sa'yo or wala, you still follow this command of not stealing. So, in other words, whether there is some passing grade or not, whether others will praise me or not, I have to go to school. I have to follow the rules and regulations because it is my duty to do it. So regardless if I do not like it or regardless if I feel to do it or not, I still have to do it without any condition. So ganun ang kaibahan ng categorical at saka hypothetical. Now sana naintindihan natin to para step by step. Ngayon, tapos na tayo dito. Ethical framework is, according to Kant, categorical imperative. Now dito, babalikan natin yung tanong, so paano ba ako magkaroon itong categorical imperative na to, okay? How can I know kung tama ba ang action ko o hindi? So, para kay Kant, meron siyang at least 4 na formulation of the categorical imperative. Ito yung ito yung pang measure. Dito may-measure kung ating action is good or bad or moral or immoral. So, meron siyang 4 na formulation. But bago ang lahat, sabi ni Kant, lahat daw tayo ay may tinatawag na maxim. Okay? Ano ba yung maxim? Yung principle behind our action. For example, papasok ako ng school ngayon. Yun yung action ko. Pero behind action, meron siyang principle. Bakit ako pumasok? Para kay Kant, napaka-importante nito. Kasi dito natin makikita kung ang maxim ba natin is moral or not. Paano ba natin ulit ito ma-measure? Through the formulation of the categorical imperative. At ang pinakauna dito is universal law formula. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Sinabi dito, act as if the maxim of your action were to become through your will a universal law of nature. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Kapag na-universalize yung maxim natin, then it will be considered as moral. Okay? Or, kung ginawa ito ng ibang tao at acceptable sa lipunan at na-universalize siya, acceptable sa lahat, therefore, moral daw ang maxim natin. For example, kung ang maxim natin is, I will kill one person per day because that is the right thing to do. Okay? Ang tanong dito, may universalize ba siya o hindi? Hindi. Bakit? If I kill one person per day, and all the people will do the same, then what will happen to our society? Another example is to borrow money. So, my maxim is I will borrow money even though I cannot pay it back because I just want to borrow. Then, ano kaya mangyayari sa community kung lahat na lang ay ganito ang ginagawa? Maring wala nang magtiwala, wala nang bangkong magpapautang. Therefore, it cannot be universalized. So, if it cannot be universalized, therefore, it is not moral. Yan yung una. Pangalawang formulation is humanity formula. Humanity formula is to act a way that you always treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, never simply as a mean, but always as the same time as an end. The humanity formula is about respect. Respect the dignity of other people. Or never use a person as an object of our desire para makakuha lang tayo or ginagamit natin yung tao. Hindi po ganon. Kasi hindi po siya magiging moral. And it goes back to the universal law formula. May universalize ba siya? Hindi. Pangatlo, yung autonomy formula. Sinabi dito, you act that your will can regard itself at the same time as making universal law through its maxims. Sinasabi dito sa autonomy formula na dapat free ka. Na ikaw dapat as an autonomous person, you are free to make decision, you are free to think and to act according to your maxim that should become a universal law. And number 4 is the kingdom of ends formula. Anong ibig sabihin nito? In the kingdom of ends, okay, para siyang isang society, we have to treat each other as an end in itself, but as well as we are autonomous people. In other words, lahat po na nakatira sa kingdom of ends in that society ay dapat they are lawmaking bodies. They are lawmakers. Sila po ang, according to their maxim, meron silang maxim at sila ang nagpapatupad because and they should be autonomous And autonomous means free, and make sure that you have to respect other people as and treat them as an end, not a means to an end. But we have to make sure that it can be universalized. So ito yung apat na to, ang formulation of the categorical imperative. Dito po makikita kung ang atin bang action ay moral or immoral. But the key is, it will become a categorical imperative if and only if we do it for the sake of duty and not for the sake of something else. So, to end, ito yung reflection natin na dapat nating isalang-alang. What do you think are the strengths and weaknesses of Kantian ethics or yung deontological ethics ni Kant? So, paano ba natin ma-apply yung kanyang ethics to local or international scenario? So, thank you so much and have a good day to all.